I'm so glad that you all could be here this evening. We are talking about something that I am extremely, extremely passionate about. I actually started chiropractic college with the intent of wanting to help kids. And the reason why was because I used to work in Sherman at a place that I'm not going to name, but it was a great place. We saw a lot of kids, and we saw many, many misdiagnosed and over-medicated kids. And whenever I started seeing the correlation after working there for so long that there's nothing wrong with these children, but something is wrong with the parents, well, I brought it up one day, thinking out loud and saying, why are we treating the kids when they're not the ones with the issue? How come we don't address the parents? And their response back to me was, well, that's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to treat the kids. So it kind of didn't make any sense, and as God kind of planned things out, the next thing I know, I hear chiropractic can help kids naturally. So my two questions were, what is chiropractic and where do I sign up? So I went to chiropractic college with the intention of how do I help kids naturally. Now, postgraduate, I got into nutrition. And whenever I got into my postgraduate education courses, my flame became a fire. I learned a lot of stuff in chiropractic school. I had a 4-year-old son whenever I entered. We changed a lot of things. Then whenever I got into nutrition, it took on a whole new level at that point. So now I was really serious about it, and to the point that I wanted to get out the word as much as I could to everybody else because it is huge. Some of the things that I was told in nutrition and postgraduate education, I was mad that nobody had ever told me. So tonight we're going to be talking about some things that a pediatrician may not have told you, the news may not have told you. I'll be talking about some things that your pediatrician will say the opposite of. That's just the realm of it. So we're not going to talk about vaccines tonight because that's a whole topic in and of itself. But I am going to be talking about a lot that has to do with nutrition. I deal with physiology of the body, how it's supposed to work, whereas medical, they deal with pharmacology and how do we give medications for certain things that are going wrong. Nothing wrong with medical doctors. I have friends that are medical doctors and they're all great and fabulous people. They've been taught what they've been taught, but there's a time and a place for medicine. If you break your arm or slash off something, a limb, don't come and see me. Obviously you need to go see a medical doctor. But whenever it comes to nutrition, this is where we got the power. So I am extremely passionate. I'm going to do my best to contain myself and not be like those crazy coaches that you see that they're so passionate about their team. So I'll do the best that I can. Remember, at one point I was you, and I didn't know these things either. So I'm not saying anything to offend anybody or to convict anybody. That is totally not my point. But some of these things may hit home and they may resonate with you. If those are the things that are resonating, those are likely the things that need to be changed. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. So first thing we need to start with is kids must be kids. Alright, we've got to be able to allow our children to be children, do what children are supposed to do. These things that are flying around on the screen, we don't really see that a lot from kids anymore because they're so addicted to their DS or their PlayStation or their cell phone or whatever. But part of this process is making a child be a child instead of sitting there and treating them like a little adult. No, sit down. Don't touch that. Don't talk. Be quiet. Go to sleep. That's not what children are supposed to do. So we need to be able to let children be children, but at the same time keep boundaries on them. I'm not saying let your children run, kick, and jump all over things whenever they're out in public acting crazy because children need boundaries, but we do want to make sure they're having fun. So all of these things listed here, these are all correlated to improper nutrition. I know sometimes people hear nutrition and they think rules and what you're supposed to eat and what you're not supposed to eat, but it goes a whole lot deeper than that. It is your actual biochemical makeup. It is the actual physiology of your system. So we're going to be talking about a number of different things to change a child's physiology. First thing that we have to do is start with, obviously, the adults. Get it out of your head. So all of these kids that I was mentioning earlier that were all medicated, they all thought that something was wrong with their child, when in fact it was their preconceived notions that were incorrect. So I want to start with an analogy. If you had the option to build a new home, beautiful new home, wherever you want it to be, however you want it to look, you can have the nice marble floors, you can have the granite in the kitchen, whatever you would like. Would you choose those things to have a nice home that lasts forever? Or would you choose to go the cheap way out and get some lumber that would probably fall apart in a few years or easily catch fire, build your house upon some sticks and everything look really crooked? Who would build the crooked stick house? Nobody. But whenever it comes to our children, that's what we're putting in their bodies. We're choosing the cheap way out. We want the cheap building materials. But your children shouldn't be built with that. They get one body, one life. That's it. So the first thing we have to do is figure out what are we going to build them with. We've got to get it out of our head that food needs to be cheap, period. Food was never meant to be cheap because McDonald's says I can make you a piece of meat, 2 buns, and a piece of cheese for 99 cents doesn't mean that that's how everything else in the world should be. So that's one of my biggest complaints. Well, it costs too much and it's so expensive. It's not if you look at the investment. I will see kids whose parents complain about food, but they have on the cool new Jordans and they have all the cell phone accessories. And so it's really just a matter of what is worth your investment dollar. Obviously you're here, so you're more interested in making the right choices. So that's one of the things that we've got to get other parents inclined to do is get away from the things that aren't going to be worth crap in a year. That's going to be my favorite word, so y'all are going to hear that a lot. It's not going to be worth crap in a few years. Forget about it. You're building up your child. Everything that child eats is going to go to a specific cell, tissue, muscle, organ. It's going somewhere. And it's not going to be good if you're building them with cheap crap. Less than $2,000 per year. So I'll explain that. I'm going to call people out because this is going to be interactive, okay? Because I don't want to sit here and be bored all by myself. So, how much do you spend, would you say, a month on groceries?
150 about a week times 4, so
$600. Okay, awesome. How much do you spend?
About $800.
You want just groceries in the house, or how much will you out?
Just groceries in the house. Just groceries in the house.
What did you say, about 800?
At least, yeah.
$800. Okay. So in my house, we have family of 5. How many do you have?
4.
4.
5.
5. Okay. So I spend what you spend. I spend $150 a week. So that's $600 a month. I did the math before I started this. $600 a month for my family of 5. That means everybody eats on $4 a day. A day, not a meal. Everybody eats on $4 a day. So I don't think that there's anybody who would refute the fact that $4 a day for a child to eat is expensive. We eat healthy. We don't eat crap. I don't buy sodas. We eat organic foods. All of our meat is fresh, free range, grass fed, and I spend $600 a month. So less than $2,000 per year is what I spend on my child. That's what? A mortgage payment a month? So less than $2,000 in an entire year really isn't a lot whenever you start looking at how things are all adding up together. And that includes their supplements, actually. So the other things that I tell people are is if there's a budget issue, I understand that because I've had budget issues before too. So there's things that we can do that are not so expensive. For instance, we don't have to go out and watch the $10 movie, and we don't have to go out to the amusement park. You know, I live in Allen. There's new things in Allen. The village at Allen has free water splash grounds. There's concerts. There's all kinds of things that my family does for free because I do not think it is worth my investment dollar to go to Cinemark. I refuse. My kids don't see new movies, and the only way they will is if their grandparents take them. Other than that, I'm not. I refuse. We can go to the dollar movie when it gets there, but they're like, oh, Mom, everybody else has seen it. Great, let them tell you how it was. So, one of the quotes that as I was putting this together for the past few months, if you want to become well, you first have to become free. And I put that in there because that really resonated with me. And some people have these notions stuck in their mind about the way things should be. and it's not always the way things actually are. So if you want to become well, you first must get away from all of the hype on what the majority says and start cluing in more to what your own physical body is saying. Parenting, powerful position of influence. Of course, we parents are the role models, we're the leaders. Kids are going to do what we do. So the good part is the patterns you incorporate now can prevent a lifetime of chronic disease and emotional suffering. So if you think about what I'm doing for my child every single day could prevent them from maybe 30 years from now going into that doctor's office and saying, you know what, I'm sorry, we have a really bad report. You've trashed yourself for 30 years. This is what you get. This is the home that you built. I'm sorry that it's falling apart. All I can do for you is give you this medication. Have a nice day. Thank you. So if you prevent that now, how much better off would your child be? I put on here have to, must do instead of want to, get to. That's how most people act. Oh, I have to do this. I must do this. If you change your thought process on it of I want to do this and I get to do this, it's beneficial for my child, I am happy to do so, then it changes the whole perspective. The dictatorship principle is something that I learned in some postgraduate education courses. We have a doctor who teaches from California, hilarious, and he says that in his home, you eat what's on the plate, and if you don't, you get up from the table, it goes in the refrigerator, and the next meal, it comes out of the refrigerator, goes back on the table, and that is only what you're going to get until you eat what is on the table, period. There are no other choices. He said, this home is a dictatorship, and I'm the dick. Period. So sometimes you have to be like that, but you can see there, we owe it to our kids to do that for them. Children need boundaries. I'm sure if they had their way, they would eat cake every day, but how good is that going to be? So we want to give them a good future. Your children shouldn't be happy all the time. I speak from experience. Growing up, my mother tried to be my best friend and not my mother. And it hit me hard whenever I got out into the real world and I realized, oh, not everybody is here to make me happy. What? This is what I was taught, this is what I was raised. I had no boundaries, I did what I wanted when I wanted. I was very sick. I never had any metabolism issues, so I never gained weight. But my face was covered in cystic acne, I had ulcers, I went to the bathroom about once a week, and I was an angry bitch. And that is how nutrition changed my life, essentially. So it's amazing what can happen if you do things one way or if you do things another way. So keep that in mind. Don't be your kids' friend. Sometimes they need to be unhappy. It's good for them. So our goals today, build the immune system. We definitely want to build the immune system. We're doctors. We want to make sure our kids are strong. We want to also make sure that they're at their optimal weight and know how to stay there for life, because with increased weight becomes so many other problems. Boost their energy and their mental clarity. We want to make sure that they have the energy to do what they want to do and the mental clarity to sit in the classroom, focus, pay attention, not drive the teachers crazy, and get their work done. Improve emotional well-being and the outlook on life. I see some teenagers right now currently in this office that have a really poor outlook on life and they're really sick, and it's so sad to see that at 15. But once we start changing the dynamics of the physiology and I get that phone call from a mom that says, I feel like I got my child back, it sends goosebumps down my spine, because people do the best that they can with what they know, but if you don't know better, you can't do better. So we also want to eliminate premature aging, diabetes, heart problems, allergies, all these issues that could come in the future. Maximize their IQ, increase their athletic performance, and increase their chance for success. So we want our kids to do well. We don't want them to fail, but we've got to build a strong house. So I put this in here because it was amazing to me. Fast food companies, $10 billion per year in advertising. That's not like to cook the food. I want to know how much it costs them to cook the food. $10 billion per year in advertising. And then $117 billion was spent in 2003 on obesity-related economic costs. Americans spend more money on fast food than on cars, computers, software, and college. Isn't that crazy? More money on a $2 burger than on all of these other things. So really that becomes a matter of what are your priorities. And if your priorities are, I'm too busy, we're just going to have to go through a drive-through, that's where your priorities lie. That's what your kids are going to be fed. Now, every once in a while, I understand. I'm a busy mom too, and every once in a while, we go to Wendy's too. It happens. But that's only every once in a while. That's not once a month. So, 60% of herbicides, 30% of insecticides, 90% of fungicides are considered by the EPA to be carcinogenic, but yet they're still being used in our food supply. So whenever you say, well, it costs so much more to eat organic, is it really worth it? That right there kind of tells you that it's worth it because that's what you avoid. On the other hand, organic food actually is more nutrient dense, so you would have to eat more apples to get the same nutrients from one organic apple if you choose to eat them non-organic. So increased nutrients, decreased toxicities, all the way around, it's a better package. Americans have been on a low-fat craze for 2 decades, but we are in a huge crisis. Our children are in a huge crisis. So low-fat is not the way to go. We do not want to avoid the fat. Your brain is dependent upon fat. You notice that as people get bigger and our children get bigger, they also seem to lose like what's going on up here too. So we don't want to eliminate the fat. That's not the problem. There's no more dangerous time to consume bad nutrition than as a child. They are rapidly growing, lightning speed, super fast. And whatever you're giving that body is going to a cell, it's going to a tissue, it's going to an organ. And if that body is not getting what it needs and those organs can't grow in the way that they are supposed to grow, how do you expect it to function? It's just not going to work. So this is a food pyramid that I like. I don't look at anything from the USDA that's not made by holistic nutritionists, that's made by employees who have other interests. So fruits and vegetables are at the bottom. Grains are not at the bottom. Grains are big sugar converters, and that's something that can make you fat. So we want fruits and vegetables, then next you'll see is meat. We're going to talk about vegans and vegetarians in a minute, but meat is important. Again, free range, wild caught, organic, grass-fed. Those are the words that you want to look for whenever it comes to meat. You do not want meat that is the opposite of all of those. They're going to have the increase in antibiotics, and they're going to get fed corn, which is going to fatten the cow, so then of course it's going to fatten you. They're going to be fed grains, which their body doesn't know how to digest, and then they're going to get sick, and then they're going to need shots, and it's just a whole big mess. So you don't want to go for things. If you haven't seen Food Inc., you must watch Food Inc. It is the best documentary ever. You've got to watch it. I know some people who watch it and, I'm going to go be a vegetarian. That's not the point. You missed it. The point is that you've really got to be more cautious about the foods that you choose. And then we've got the dairy products. So we do want to eat milk, cheese, milk raw is best. We'll talk about that in a minute. You don't ever want to give your kids pasteurized dairy. Unfortunately, that's all they get nowadays, but we'll get there. And then at the top is the sweets. So we want good fruits and vegetables, we want good meat, we want good fats, and then we want just a small minor amount of sweets every once in a while. Vegans and vegetarians. I do not promote it at all. It's not the way that our bodies were made. If you think back to, I don't know, years ago, hunters and gatherers. So we hunted animal, gathered fruits and vegetables. You eat both, you have a greater state of health. In traditional Chinese medicine, vegetarianism actually leads to blood disorders, so you don't want to do that. It's very hard to do those particular diets with good balance. They're okay short term meaning like less than a month or so to cleanse the system, but long term that's not something that you want to do. Red meat, a lot of people think I need to stay away from because it's high in saturated fat and it's very inflammatory, but if you get red meat that is free range, organic, you're not looking at those same problems, and you're looking at an increase in the good omega-3 fats, and red meat has something that will help protect the brain that is not found in other foods. So every once in a while, a few times a month, we eat steak, and we love it. So we want to go for the clean animal products. Eggs, cheese, everything. Genetically modified organisms, this is where it gets really scary, and this is another reason why you want to watch Food Inc. if you haven't seen it. But even the word genetically modified, that sounds super crazy. These are the soybeans, and this is a genetically modified soybean. You can see there, that's the microscope portion of what it actually looks like on the inside. Completely different than what the regular soybean looks like. 90% of the soybeans that are in production are genetically modified. So you likely have some of this food in your home if you have anything that's in a package. That was a link. There's actually going to be, I'm going to give you guys a resources page. We'll have lots of links, lots of different things that you can look at, of things that we talk about today. I encourage you to look up genetically modified organisms. You can be quite surprised at how terrible they can be for your health and how they're getting in our foods unknowingly. So, raw milk. We drink raw milk in my home. I recommend raw milk for anybody that's above the age of 3. If you have somebody that's below the age of 3, then probably organic goat milk is going to be best for them until they get to the age of 3. We go to Levon Farms, which is on Jupiter and Spring Creek in Plano, but you can search realmilk.com. It'll be on your resources sheet to see if there's a farm near you. Raw milk is not pasteurized, which means it's not going to have all of the beneficial properties completely heated out. In pasteurization, what they do is heat it at a super, 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 super high heat because everybody's freaking out about bacteria and it's so bad. So super, super high heat, and it strips away all of the nutrients. So then they enrich it with synthetic stuff, put the vitamins back in a synthetic form, put the nutrients back in their enzymes, and then we have so many people now, I have problems with dairy and I can't digest it and I'm lactose intolerant, and well, yeah, because it's sugar water, it's not even good for you. So allergy issues. People who have had allergy issues in the past and working with kids, we'll take them off of the dairy for about 6 months, and then whenever reintroduction time comes, they reintroduce in raw, and they're fine. It's really something going on with the pasteurization and the homogenization that's changing the structure of the milk that you really don't want to put that into your kids. The pasteurized milk has actually been linked to an increase in juvenile rheumatoid arthritis and diabetes. What happens is there's a protein in the cow's milk that whenever it gets distorted in the pasteurization process, it looks the exact same as a pancreatic cell. If the child's immune system is not up to par, and that immune system goes to attack that cow's milk that looks the same as the beta cell in the pancreas, and then a week from now, that there's a beta cell in the pancreas that comes up and the immune system goes and attacks it. So now we've got a diabetes issue because the milk was completely disturbed in the child's body, mistook it for something else. So that's a two-part problem. Soy. Now I know everybody says we should eat soy. Soy's super healthy for you. Soy's so good. It's got good stuff in it. When in fact that's not the case. So I know that they'll say, if you look at the rates of people in China and Japan, they don't get breast cancer, so we need to use soy to protect against breast cancer. Yeah, they don't get breast cancer, but they get like every other kind of cancer. So what's the issue there? We get breast cancer here, and they get all of these other cancers there. So soy is not going to protect you from cancer, and it can lead to lots of issues. Anybody who comes into me with a thyroid issue, automatically make sure they do not have any soy at all, because soy will disrupt your endocrine system. It will attack the thyroid. In formula, the soy formula is the equivalent of 5 birth control pills. So you would never want to give that to a baby, 5 birth control pills, because there's so much hormones in it. And then, of course, in little boys, it'll make puberty come later because they have way too much estrogen in their system. In little girls, puberty comes sooner because they have way too much estrogen in their system. So we just don't want to do that. Now, killer liquids. This is the one thing that you want to go home and throw away right now, because I'm sure majority, 99% of people in the United States probably have this in their cabinet. Shortenings, vegetable oils, canola oils, those oils are very, very bad for you. They are going to turn into trans fats. Trans fats are terrible. We're going to get to that in just a second. Instead of using these oils, what we're going to choose is coconut oil if you're cooking, extra virgin olive oil if you're drizzling or using it as a salad dressing. You don't ever want to heat extra virgin olive oil, even though Rachel Ray does. I can't wait till the day I get to talk to Rachel Ray. I love her, but oh my gosh, EVOO in the pan? No, Rachel, no. EVOO is way too fragile, and it can burn really easy. So whenever it burns, then things split, and when things split, we have free radicals, and now we have cancer. Not a good setup. So EVO is just way too fragile. Don't cook with that. There's some other healthy oils that are listed there that we use in our home, but hands down I use coconut oil for everything. And coconut oil has saved me so much money because we use it in the bathroom. So we have one that goes in the kitchen and one that goes in the bathroom. See? Yeah, she uses the coconut oil too. It's fabulous. My son has curly hair, and I have a picture of him on the blog somewhere, but his little curls just glistening with the coconut oil. It's so cute. We put gel in his hair. We just get coconut oil, and he smells so good. Anyways, he's a cutie pie. So we use coconut oil on everything. Whenever I had severe acne issues, I tried everything under the sun, tried all of the pills, the potions, the lotions, the washes, the chemicals, the everything. And nothing worked. Coconut oil is actually something that I use as a moisturizer now to help me keep everything under control. It's antiviral, antiparasitic, antibacterial. It's really good stuff. And of course me, I'm a work in progress. So my issue with the hormones being in balance was all due to really poor nutrition. Whenever we were growing up, I said I had no boundaries. So all I ate was Fruity Pebbles, Lucky Charms, Long John Silver's and Popeyes, and Red Lobster. That's all I wanted. And my mom didn't know how to cook, so that's all we ate. So I had all of that within my system that just had to come out. I mean, after putting that in my system for 20 years, I don't expect to see a change in 2 days, but it's still, to this day, 4 years later, still coming out in my skin. So I've got to do things constantly to make sure that I keep up my health as well, because I had so much damage in the past. Now, trans fats. Trans fats, this is what they do. So every single one of your cells has what's called a phospholipid bilayer, and some of my teachers might be very familiar with that. So the phospholipid bilayer is this little fatty layer, and it's like very fluid in movement, so that nutrients can come in the cell and the waste products can go out of the cell. But whenever you eat trans fats, what happens is it changes the structure on the outside of the cell, and it hardens the cell. And nothing can come in and nothing can go out. So now what you have is cell death, because nothing proper can occur. So that's what trans fats do. Now, if your body is made up of cells, if that's the basic physiology of you, you're just trillions of cells, does it make any sense to put in anything that's going to affect you on a cellular level in a negative way? Never. So all of the junk foods, some salad dressings, processed baked goods, all of those things, all of the fast food, all of it's going to have trans fats, so none of it's good for you. You always want to read the label. If it says anything about a partially hydrogenated oil, get it out, okay? And then you have those package labels that think that they're slick, and they try to fool people. And they'll put on the front, oh, 0 grams of trans fat, whenever in reality the FDA said as long as it's below 0.5, you can put that on the label, 0.5 per serving. Okay. Does any child look at a serving? No. They just go straight for it. Does any adult look at a serving? I don't think so. So you get multiple trans fats every single day, probably without even realizing. Don't trust the package label. You got to read the ingredients. So the sweet deception is sugar, which is a killer. I was addicted to sugar. This was the hardest thing for me to break. Obviously, if all I ate was Fruity Pebbles and Lucky Charms. Sugar is terrible. I have a list of 146, I think it is, 146 different things that sugar can do to ruin your health. So what I brought was a little sack. And it's coming in a package, obviously. It's not growing on a farm. So there may be an issue, but there are healthier choices that you can make other than Cheetos and Doritos and whatever else people eat. So, so I just brought some of these things for you guys. Here, you guys can have some fruit strips. You're welcome. What else do I have in here? Energy drinks instead of Red Bull, then this is a little bit better. So this has fruits and vegetables, and the energy part comes from green tea. So there are things that you can do to not only help you make better choices, not only help your kids, but make you make better choices. Yes, ma'am.
Are you getting this from like all
Yeah, I got this from Kroger. I don't know where it is, but these I got from Whole Foods. So there's something for you guys. Here's some juice boxes. Juice, I usually don't like my kids to drink juice, but whenever they do, then I make sure that they get something that is not just a ton of sugar, like Capri Sun or whatever. So here, Miss Audra, here's just some juice boxes. What else do we got in here? More cookies. Okay, here's some organic gummy bears. Now, this is to go to show that just because it says organic on the package doesn't necessarily mean it's good for you. So, yes, maybe this is better than original gummy bears because they use the flavor of different juices in order to flavor these, but still only use this stuff sparingly. This isn't something that you want to eat all of the time. So, who wants gummy bears?
Do they have the red and yellow?
The red dyes in them?
Mm-mm. They do not.
Are they gluten free?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
I think they are. So I have basically some more snacks. So these are all just crackers.
Do you want us to pass these around?
You guys can do whatever you would like to do.
I don't want to hog all the Cliff bars.
So just to make some better choices for you guys so that your kids aren't stuffed full of trans fats. Let's see here. Moving on, sugars, that's where we're at. So the average American consumes 135 pounds of sugar a year. 135 pounds is huge. In children, 50 pounds of that comes from soda. Never give your kids soda. My gosh, if you can pour that on a car battery to fix whatever's going on with the car battery, can you imagine what that does to your insides? So the average American consumes 56 gallons of soda per year per person, which leads to $60 billion in sales. So far what we've wrapped up here is $60 billion in soda, $117 billion in obesity-related costs, $10 billion in fast food advertisement. So it looks like we have money in our pocket to spend on food. I'm thinking that maybe if we didn't spend so much money here that we would probably be able to afford the organic fruits and vegetables without any issues. So, something to think about. You just got to get your priorities different. Now, this says 56 gallons of soda per year per person. Well, I drink maybe 1 gallon of soda per year, so that means that somebody else is drinking my other 55, which is where we're going. So, it ain't so sweet after all. We talked earlier about grains. I'm not a big fan of eating a lot of grains, even if you're eating, well, what about wheat bread? Well, wheat bread is usually just as bad. It's going to release the glucose and the insulin levels at a slower level. However, most wheat bread, if you look now on the package label, the ingredients will say a partially hydrogenated oil or some type of high fructose corn syrup or some type of cane sugar. So it's still not going to be the best choice for you. If you can make your own bread, fine, you can control the ingredients that you put in there, but really, there aren't any essential carbs. Did anybody know that? There's essential amino acids, you have to have protein. There's essential minerals, there's essential vitamin, but there's not any essential carbs. So you could be fine going without the grains. Sugar leads to B vitamin deficiency and mineral depletion. When people get cavities in their teeth, that's from the sugar sucking the mineral out of the bone. When people get osteoporosis in their spine, that's sugar sucking the mineral out of the bone because it has to stabilize itself. You're putting in something that has been completely stripped, refined, and it doesn't have all of those minerals in order for proper digestion to occur. So you're pulling them out of your own bones in order to do it. B vitamin deficiency will also lead to decrease in energy. So people who consume a lot of sugar are often very fatigued. For females, especially females who are on birth control will deplete your B vitamins. So if you're on birth control and you're eating sugar, you're basically setting yourself up for a double whammy. Then one time to never, ever, ever have sugar is when you are sick. And this is how we make an ironclad immune system as the doctors. Never. My kids don't even get orange juice whenever they're sick. As soon as something happens, I go make a smoothie. It's going to have fruits, it's going to have vegetables, and it's going to have yogurt. And that's it. And they drink it. They love it. So it's okay for your kids to be sick every once in a while because that's going to help boost their immune system. But you don't want your kids sick all the time. And anytime you consume sugar, it decreases your immune system for the following 4 hours. So for my teachers who are at school, you have like a cookie or something because your class had a party. So for the next 4 hours, you've got to watch who's sneezing on you, who's rubbing their boogers on your hands, you know, because you never know. 4 hours after ingestion of sugar, your immune system is down. When it comes to caffeine, these are, of course, all the different drinks that have caffeine in them. Caffeine, basically what it does is it revs your system up, gives you that energy boost. But if it goes up, it must come down. That's the way the body works. It's always trying to balance itself. So if you are doing something to push it up, it's going to try to work to bring it down. You do that over and over and over again. You need more coffee in order to keep the same energy levels, and then eventually your body is just going to go into depletion because I can't keep bringing you down and bringing you down and bringing you down. I'm just going to stay down. You're not even going to go up anymore. Whenever I had a patient come in to me tell me that she was on 8 cups of coffee a day and she was asleep by 3 p.m., I thought, you're not, what? What? I'm confused. So the caffeine is not the solution, obviously. The regular use of anything to speed up your body will eventually slow it down. Okay? You don't want to do that. You want to get your energy naturally. Green tea is always the question then. Okay, well there's caffeine in green tea, so can I drink green tea? Absolutely. A cup of coffee is 130 milligrams, green tea is 20 milligrams. A cup of coffee doesn't contain all of the beneficial polyphenols that green tea does, like the antioxidants. So green tea is perfect. Green tea is wonderful. This is just a picture I wanted to just put in here. All of the things that can happen if you have too much caffeine in your system. So not saying that this is going to happen if you drink just one drink, but I know since I'm not a big caffeine drinker, if I even get close to a hot chocolate or cappuccino in the wintertime whenever I'm freezing, I'm like freaking out. So everybody's body is different and everybody can only handle different levels of caffeine, but these are the things that can happen. If this can happen if you drink too much of one substance, why would you even want to chance that at all? I see kids in this office whose parents let them drink coffee. This past winter, an 8-year-old was drinking coffee. Like, there's no reason. You started drinking coffee at 4? Insane. All right. Water is what you want to drink instead of the coffee and the caffeine and all of the other drinks, the sodas. So water is extremely important. Obviously, our body is made up of tons of water. We could go for a little while without food, but we can't go that long without water. If your kids don't like water, throw in a lemon or a lime or some berries or a cucumber or mint or something. Flavor it somehow. But make sure your kids are drinking plenty of water. Everybody should drink half of their body weight in ounces of water every day. So if you weigh 150 pounds, then you need to drink 75 ounces of water. Water can lead to dehydration can lead to a number of different things that you do not want going on in your system. So make sure you get plenty of water. So for the babies, obviously they're not going to need as much water. The babies, ideally, we want to have them breastfed. Now, there is a way to make your own formula if mom is unable to continue breastfeeding as long as she desires. So you can make your own formula. There's going to be a link to the Weston A. Price Foundation on your resources page. That's where they have the recipe for it. Or you can supplement the formula. So for instance, for me, for my middle child, at 7 months, I just wasn't producing the milk anymore. And there wasn't anything else that I could do. I tried everything I could, not producing the milk. He started on formula. I started making sure that he had some of the supplements ground up in his bottle, so that way he was at least getting all of the good nutrients that he needed, and not just drinking essentially sugar, which is what formula is. Obviously, the earlier you start your babies on the food, the better they're going to be. So all babies should be introduced to all vegetables as soon as possible. All vegetables, even if you parents don't eat them. Everything can be pureed. So you just want to break it down. Make sure that you're washing your produce so that way you're knocking off any of the bad stuff before you're feeding it to your baby. Special needs kids. I love special needs kids. Now, in this case, supplementation is usually the best way to start, because these kids are picky eaters and they will not be happy with what you're trying to do. They're already going through enough emotionally. So we usually start with supplementation because they have a very, very high need for nutrients. Some people think, what could possibly happen for my special needs child that's any different than what it already is? Well, if you think about what I said in the beginning, you're building a home. Depending upon what you're putting in is going to be dependent upon what you're getting out. So I have a little boy who came to me about a year ago. I have a little video for you here.
Hi, my name is Margaret, and this is my son David. He has autism. We were diagnosed, he's 7 now, we were diagnosed when he was 4. We went through all of the therapies and typical nutrition and supplements given by those therapists. We weren't seeing any, we've come a long way, but we weren't seeing the changes that we wanted to see, and so we wanted to go a different route, and we started seeing Dr. Hamilton a year ago, around April, and before we came, David was getting those, as parents know of in school, the reds and orange colors with his behavior. We came here, he had his first adjustment, and we started giving him supplements right away. And it was amazing. About a week later, we took him back to school from spring break, and he was nothing but the blue and green color, which is for, best behavior the rest of the school year. The teachers were baffled. They kept asking, what have we done? What changes have we made? And I told them, we were just getting adjustments and getting our vitamins, and it's just been a major transformation. So I highly recommend, just trying something different, trying something new, and it's definitely helped us and our family.
Smiling in his smirk, you would never know that he was an autistic child. He bounces around all over the place, has tons of energy. He doesn't act like he's autistic. And now their big issue is, now we got to discipline this child because he's been an autistic child for so long and we've never had to do anything, but now he's becoming a regular child. So things can change. Epigenetics is the study of how things can change, how your genes can express themselves in a different way. And you'll see here it says stress, diet, behavior, toxins, and other factors activate chemical switches that regulate gene expression. So either the genes are going to express themselves in one way or they're going to express themselves in another way depending upon what you're putting into that child's system. So we changed what was being put into his system. The adjustments changed what was going on in the nervous system, and we've got a whole different child. I have handouts for anybody interested in anything for ADHD, because that was actually the reason that I went into the chiropractic college. ADHD was the misdiagnosed, overdiagnosed, overmedicated children that I saw all the time, and there was nothing wrong with them. So like I said in the beginning, kids need to be kids. They need to be able to move and shake and do all of the things that kids want to do. So it was the parents who said, I need you to sit still. But for those who really do have a bigger issue, ADHD can be helped naturally. Athletes, for our little kids who are doing lots of athletic events, we want to make sure that they get the extra fuel and the nutrition that they need. Again, they are going to require more because they're expending more energy. So we want to support their bones, ligaments, tendons. Make sure that they don't have any problems with breaks or anything like that. Make sure they get plenty of sleep. I know so many little athletes who don't get enough rest and they're tired a lot. And then getting good recovery nutrition afterwards, after a big long workout or a game. Obviously your muscles are very depleted, they're breaking down, so you need to recover. You need to make sure that those muscles are being built back up with the good nutrition. Now, in regards to the stuff that we put on the outside of our skin and not just put in our mouth, that is a huge topic in and of itself. But it's really simple if you think about what's in the bottle is going on my skin, is going in me. So if something is in the bottle that shouldn't be on my skin, it shouldn't be in me, then we just need to leave the bottle alone. This was huge for me whenever it came to my acne issues because I had used so many different products. And as I started going through purification and things like that, and I started seeing the stuff come out of me, it was pretty disgusting. So toxins in the bottle, stay away from them. There is a whole list of toxins that you want to avoid on products. If you go to the Skin Deep website that's on your resources page, you can see how safe your products are that you're using on your hair or on your nails or anywhere else. So that way you can help your kids avoid those health complications as well. So let's talk about antibacterial, because everybody's like antibacterial, antibacterial, antibacterial. We don't want to kill the bacteria, but what they're finding is that the ingredients that are in the antibacterial soap are actually more harmful and are doing worse things than they are doing good. So just plain old hand washing with soap, that's plenty good. Obviously if you're somewhere and you don't have the ability to wash your hands and you really need it, fine, but don't be using it on a regular basis. Whenever this stuff first came out, I was a new mom and I was like, oh, let's antibacterial everything every day. And then I realized what a bad thing I was doing. That ingredient, triclosan, the main ingredient, it can kill human cells. So you don't want that constantly being absorbed into your skin, killing all of your cells. And it doesn't protect against viruses. Bacteria is not going to really hurt us. It might give us diarrhea or something like that. But our bodies have more bacteria in our stomach than there are known stars in the sky. We need to have bacteria. We're like human petri dish. Seriously. So bacteria is not a terrible thing. Okay, the big thing that we want to talk about too is poison. Every day your child gets exposed to this in some way or another. Fluoride is a big kicker. So fluoride leads to a number of issues. I recently sent out, if you guys didn't get it last week, or maybe it was this week, I sent out a information about fluoride email, and it was attached to a video. If you did not see that video, then do email me. It will actually tell you where the fluoride comes from and how many terrible things they can do to your system, including wreck your thyroid gland and give you brittle bones and mess up a ton of other things. It's amazing to see where it actually comes from though, and how it has been so manipulated into people thinking that's actually going to protect you, when in fact fluoride is only supposed to be used on the surface of a tooth. That's it, never to be ingested. So we got fluoride-free toothpaste at my house a long time ago, and my husband, bless him, he's like, honey, it tastes so terrible, I just don't, I'm like, really, honey? You eat anything I put in front of you if I tell you that it's healthy, and you don't want to brush your teeth with the fluoride-free toothpaste? Okay, I understand that. I'm just trying to keep you alive, that's all. I joke with him all the time. You keep doing what you're doing, and I'm going to do what I do. Just make sure to keep your insurance. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. So whenever it comes to the microwave, this is a whole other topic in and of itself, but microwave, this is basically a picture of somebody who's had microwave radiation. And this picture actually came from cell phone usage, but it's the same radiation that comes from our microwaves. So you can see how it's causing so many areas of increased heat around the body. I put that picture over there because that just looks so disgusting. I was like, microwavable pork rinds? Who would eat that? So it's becoming a matter of convenience.
It's only got one carb.
It's only one carb, that's right. It must be good for you because it's only one carb. So we use the microwave as little as possible in my home. It does take some more time to reheat the food on the stove. Absolutely, I gotta spend 5 minutes doing it instead of 30 seconds, but it's completely worth it. When you microwave, it just zaps such a high energy, high heat that it breaks the bonds of the proteins, and that's how it heats up. But why would you want to eat food that's being denatured and broken up? That's, again, what do you want to build with? So be cautious about the microwave. Does anybody think that that looks good? You think that looks
Sorry.
good?
Just being
Really?
honest.
What about that is appealing to you?
I just crave fried fast food right now at
Okay.
this point.
Well, I'm glad that you said that.
Yeah.
Because that actually, if you crave certain things, that will let me know what organ is wrong in your body. That's your liver.
Okay.
That's why you crave that. So, fast food is going to kind of sum up a lot of things here. We talked about no sugar, no trans fats, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about the bleached flour. So, all of these things come together whenever it comes to fast food. First of all, how do they cook that? In oils, vegetable oils that contain trans fats. So, what is this word? Alloxan. Alloxan is the chemical that is produced when you bleach flour, like they bleach the flour with the chlorine gas because everybody wants everything to be white. I don't know what that is. Tell my patients, don't eat white trash. It's not true. So, everybody wants everything to be white, so they take the chlorine gas, they bleach the flour, it produces alloxan. That's just a natural reaction. That's just what happens. That's a byproduct. What happens is that alloxan, they'll take it, put it in rats in order to test diabetes medications because the alloxan will kill your beta cells, which are the beta cells are in your pancreas. It kills your beta cells and leads to diabetes. So they take that, put it into the rat so that they can test which diabetes medicines work. If you are eating anything with white flour, you could guarantee that that is what is in your system, and it is hurting your beta cells. So here in fast food, we have alloxan, we have trans fats, we have free radicals, we have tons of sugar, tons of sodium, and tons of saturated fat. Is it still a good team?
No.
Okay. I could not get my husband to stop eating white bread because he grew up on it. He had an emotional attachment to it. He was like, I gotta eat the white bread. That's just what my mom always gave me. And then I told him this one day, never again. Not ever. It's amazing that once you tell people what's really going on with the food, that they won't want it anymore. So you freak your friends out. And then they'll think you're really smart, because you are. Dead foods equal dead people. I'm not really going to go into this a lot, but there is an energy that comes from the fruits and the vegetables whenever they grow. There is an energy in the cows and the chickens whenever they're eating from the land, the grass, because it has energy. So whenever you eat foods that have those energy levels in them, you're nourishing your system. Whenever you eat foods that are dead, well, what are you going to be? So you want to eat things that have an energy, that are living, that are good for you, that are healthy, and not the things that are going to kill you. Don't let your child be a casualty of busyness. Like I said, every once in a while, we go to the fast food stores too. I get it. So it's just a matter of preparation most of the time. We'll get into that. This is something that I made. Yes. That was me making kale chips. See how pretty that is? It's like all brightly colored in green versus that. It's like a totally different look, huh? Don't you think?
What is it?
It's kale.
Okay.
And I was making kale chips. And instead of my kids eating like the potato chips, you just take kale, roast it in the oven, it becomes crispy. It's delicious.
It is good. It looks weird. It is good. First time we tried it, we're like, oh.
Is it sugar on it? I mean, what's on it?
Salt.
Salt, okay.
Or not, because I don't.
Or not.
Or not.
Yeah. And this is a butternut squash cut up into French fries. That over there is coconut crusted baked chicken. And that down in the corner is a butternut squash chili with tomatoes and a whole bunch of other different vegetables. So there are things that you can do that are beyond the norm of what you think. You just got to get a little creative. That's my middle and that's my youngest, and that's them eating their good foods. My little one is eating rainbow kale slaw, so that has cabbage and oranges and kale and red onions and one other thing in there. And he's eating cauliflower mashed potatoes, fish, and I think that was a broccoli dish. So the kids will eat it. Everybody tells me, my kids aren't going to eat that food. Well, yeah, if you don't give them to it. I mean, of course, if you give them McDonald's, that's what they're going to choose. But until you try, you don't know. So this is what I do. Every week I make a weekly menu. And that weekly menu is what I take with me whenever I go to the grocery store, and that's how I know exactly what to buy for that week. Try something new every week. Every single week we have something new. If you ask my son, I asked my son the other day, I said, we're getting ready to start school. Is there anything that you think Mommy can do better? Is there anything that you have any complaints about? He said, yes. I said, oh, do tell me. Number one, why do you always make me go outside? I always have to go outside. My son has a Wii and he has a DS and he has a cell phone and he wants to play with all these technology things, and I make him go outside every day. So he's not happy about that. I said, okay, what's number two? Why do we have to always eat healthy? We always eat healthy. Every day. He was like, can't we at least once a week eat something that's not healthy? And I said, I'll work on it. I'm not. I'm doing good. I'm a good mother. My son is complaining about being outside and eating healthy. He is unhappy, and that is what I need him to be. I was happy as a child and I was sick, and we are doing good. So try something new every week. We have a top 10 list in our house, and it's the top 10 things that everybody loves. My son eats healthy and he doesn't even know it. He eats butternut squash and his macaroni and cheese and he has no idea. He eats mashed potatoes that are made from cauliflower and he has no idea. We eat tacos every single week in our house because that's on our #1 list. That is #1. But we eat them in a healthy way. Tomorrow on my blog, I'm going to have tons of recipes loaded up. That's going to be under the Kids Health tab, and it's going to be some of the things that we eat in our house on a weekly basis. So I encourage you to check those out because it's things that are easy, it's simple. As long as you're prepared in advance, then you're less likely to stop at the fast food store. And keep the kids involved. My kids go grocery shopping with me, even though they sometimes drive me insane and I just want to slap them in the back of the head. They're going grocery shopping with me because I want my kids to learn, how do you pick that fruit and vegetable? What is that? What is it supposed to look like, smell like, taste like? What do we do with this? I don't want it to be an object that they're like, I don't have a clue. That's how I was. Whenever I started in nutrition, I didn't have a clue. The only thing that I had ever eaten that was a vegetable was the things that my grandma had cooked for me every once in a while when I went to her house. That was mostly carrots and corn.
How old's your oldest?
10.
Yeah. And when did you start doing this diet with them?
Whenever he was 5.
5.
He is the hardest one. He is extremely difficult.
Has he ever gone to bed without eating?
Yes.
And then you served him the next day?
Yes.
I love you.
He hates me. Yes. He still remembers it to this day. Actually, whenever I was saying, you know, what are your complaints? That was one of his, it was like number 5 on the list. You remember 5 years ago when you made me eat that quinoa for breakfast? He's still holding on to it. But that's okay. He'll get over it and he'll be fine.
It just takes a few times, doesn't
It does. It does. And he eats quinoa now and he's fine. So you have to be the dick sometimes. You just do. I mean, there's not really anything else that I can say about that. My husband, perfect. I put something down in front of him. If he doesn't eat it, he'll tell the. I mean, if he doesn't like it, then I know because he takes a few sips of water between every bite, and I know what that means. And he tells the kid. I mean, my 10-year-old, he'll tell him, you know, you don't like what Mommy cooks, but Mommy cooks this for you because she wants you to be healthy and she wants you to be good. Some things I don't like that Mommy cooks either, but I just drink water. Take a few sips of water and it'll be fine. So that's what we do. Your kids aren't going to starve. Everybody thinks that their kids are going to die. They're not. They will not starve. They're going to get hungry, and then they're going to eat. So this is going to be on your resources handout. This is a no, good, better, best, because a lot of times I have questions about, well, what about this food and what about that food? And you got to think about it in 3 categories, a no, good, better, best. So for instance, on white bread, no good. Wheat bread, it's a little better as long as it has no artificial crap. See, I told you that's the right word. And the best would be like Ezekiel bread. So Ezekiel bread is made with sprouted grains. It's going to be a whole lot better for you. No good, white potatoes. Anything white, just get rid of it completely. Sweet potatoes are better, but cauliflower potatoes, that was a toss-up. I don't know. They're both really, really good in nutrition, but on our sweet potatoes, we tend to have some higher levels of sugar in there, so cauliflower, I think it kind of won. Either way, just kind of go through and evaluate the things that you're eating in your home. You're going to read tons of things online about what's good and what's not. If you'll see right there, I put eggs and fruit as the best instead of cereal. And then some people are like, I thought eggs were bad for me. I got high cholesterol. Yeah, you need to eat eggs. It's really good for you. Nourish and protect their brains. Lifestyle and proper nutrition. Parental involvement, experience and adventure, exercise and adjustments. These are all of the things that ultimately we want to come together to make a whole package for our kids. It is hard to be a parent. It is so hard. But whenever you do these things for your kids, you're going to reap the reward 10 times over. On Sunday at church, one of the guest speakers that was there, before he even started speaking, he said, there's some things that I need to say before I start this message. God has put it on my heart to say some things. And he is really tapped into the supernatural. I was super excited to hear him as our guest speaker. And he came over, and I could just feel it. I was like, he's coming to me. He's going to say something to me. And he did. He came over, and he said, there's something that God wants to tell you. And I'm a very spiritual person, so I immediately was like, I'm crying. Okay, I gotta try to not make the ugly cry face. Tears are rolling down my eyes, and he tells me that you are very pleasing to me, God says. You think that you're not doing enough, but you are. You try so hard, and he kept going on and on and on, and I'm not gonna tell you everything he said, but at the end of it, I was crying, and I was super excited. You know, my kids were in children's church, and at the end of it, I told my 10-year-old, I said, guess what happened at church today? And whenever I told him, the first words out of his mouth are, well, he's right, Mom. You are good. You do a lot. And I was just blown away, because this is the child who fights with me about everything, who doesn't want to go outside, who doesn't want to eat healthy. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's a testimonial whenever your own kids turn around and say, you're doing a good job. They may not be happy with everything that you do, but know that eventually they will understand. So I was happy to hear that. Lifestyle and proper nutrition, parental involvement. We have got to be more involved with our kids. There are some days whenever I come home and then I realize I'm on emailing you guys as my patients, and I'm telling my kids, hold on, give me just a second. But that's not what's supposed to be happening. I am so in the wrong for that. I need to close the computer. I'm not at work. And I know that patients